Book 9, Chapter 21. The Negotiations of Desperation, Forging the Truce Zone. The holographic conference room on Heaven's Gate was a tableau of exhausted hope and chilling alien logic. Jian Li, her face etched with grim determination, sat across from a shifting geometric projection that represented Communicator Prime, the lead negotiator for the Architects Collective. The fate of the galaxy, the balance between order and chaos, hung in the tense silence. We acknowledge the Human Galactic Authority's capacity for anti-entropic imposition. Communicator Prime's voice resonated, devoid of emotion, but laced with a chilling analytical respect. The deployment of the Cosmic Inversion Field on Lumina Prime has rendered our previous strategies unsustainable. Continued conflict presents a logistical paradox: mutual annihilation of our respective principles of universal order. Ambassador Valerius, his face pale but resolute, met the alien projection's cold gaze. Then we agree on a cessation of hostilities. But this is not a surrender. This is a truce, born from mutual impossibility. We will not be purified. We will coexist. Coexistence, the architect responded, its form shifting in a way that might have been a logical approximation of human confusion. The concept is inefficient. However, the data confirms the necessity of a containment zone, a region where neither entropy nor inverted entropy can achieve dominance, a zone of mutual nullification. Dr. Aris Thorne, his voice still hoarse from the strain of understanding the architect's logic, presented the proposed parameters. We designate the region currently affected by the Cosmic Inversion Field as the primary silent zone. Its chaotic energies, the result of our weapon, will serve as a natural deterrent. We propose a buffer zone around it, monitored by both sides, to prevent any further expansion of either entropic or inverted entropic influence. Maeve O'Connell, her empathy still raw from the galaxy's trauma, spoke with a quiet intensity. This is not just about territory, Architect. It's about life, about the right to exist, even in our messy, chaotic way. We will not surrender our freedom, our creativity, our capacity for unpredictability. We will coexist, but we will not be simplified. The architect's projection shifted, its internal processes attempting to categorize this alien concept of freedom. Unpredictability is inefficient. However, the data suggests that attempts to impose order on such a variable are equally inefficient. We propose a treaty, a zone of mutual deterrence, a boundary between order and anti-order, a silence. The negotiations stretched on, a tense ballet of logic and emotion, of cosmic forces seeking an equilibrium. The architects, struggling to reconcile their inherent drive for order with the unpredictable force that humanity had unleashed, proposed intricate monitoring protocols, energy barriers, and data exchange agreements. The HGA, exhausted but defiant, insisted on guarantees of sovereignty, on the right to exist without the threat of annihilation. Finally, a fragile agreement was reached. A silent zone, defense zone of truce, would be established. A region of chaotic energy, the scar of humanity's desperate gamble, would serve as a natural, terrifying boundary. Both sides would maintain constant surveillance, ready to unleash their cosmic weapons should the truce be violated. Jian Li rose, her gaze sweeping over the holographic room, over the alien representative of a force that had almost unmade them. "This is not a victory," she said, her voice heavy with the weight of the war's cost. "It is a stalemate, a truce born from mutual terror. But it is a chance for the galaxy to heal, to rebuild, to find a new path forward. We have shown them we are not mere disorder, we are a force to be reckoned with, and we will not be erased." The war was over. The Golden Age was shattered, replaced by a fragile, terrifying peace. Humanity had survived, not through overwhelming power, but through the audacity of its own chaotic defiance. The galaxy held its breath, poised on the edge of a new, uncertain future, forever scarred by the war between order and anti-order. Book 9, Chapter 22. The Galaxy's Shocked Relief, a Fractured Peace. The pervasive chill of the architect's entropic fields abruptly receded. On Xylos Prime, where the biodomes had buckled and logic had turned to dust, the agonizing unmaking ceased. Light, once dimmed by insidious corruption, returned with a blinding, hopeful surge. On 1,000 other worlds, the suffocating psychological pressure lifted, the subtle unraveling of minds halted. A profound, dizzying relief washed over the galaxy, a collective gasp of survival after facing systematic annihilation. People collapsed in the streets, weeping, embracing loved ones, celebrating a reprieve they had barely dared to dream of. But the relief was short-lived, quickly tempered by the raw, unyielding truth. The HGA's galaxy-wide broadcast arrived not with Valerius's polished rhetoric, but with a stark, unadorned message of cessation. The architect's assault was over. A silent zone defense zone of truce had been established, a region where the Cosmic Inversion Field's chaotic brilliance clashed with residual entropic forces, creating a perpetually unstable, impassable boundary. The voice, now grimly honest, revealed the full, terrifying history. The architect's true nature, their use of the entropy wave as a tool for systematic genocide, the HGA's millennia-long deception, the price of the Golden Age, and the desperate, suicidal gamble that forced this stalemate. On Centauri Prime, the cessation came too late. The thriving orbital ring was now a skeletal ruin, its complex structures systematically unmade. The planet below was a barren husk, its life irreversibly returned to inert components. The cessation of hostilities brought no life back, only the chilling finality of absence. For the survivors on partially affected worlds, the initial euphoria gave way to profound disillusionment. They looked at their scarred landscapes, their malfunctioning technology, their neighbors still grappling with the lingering paranoia and apathy. Unity, forged in desperation, was now fractured by anger. "They lied to us," a human colonist on New Elysium screamed, his face contorted in a mix of terror and rage, pointing at the HGA insignia on a relief shuttle. "They knew. They let us live a lie, while they fought a war we never knew existed." The accusations, once whispered, now roared across the systems. Trust, painstakingly built after the initial revelation, lay shattered again. Admiral Eva Rostova's Valiant II, now a designated humanitarian relief vessel, navigated through sectors of profound wreckage and despair. Her crews, exhausted, ferried refugees from crumbling orbital stations, their faces haunted by the unmaking. She personally coordinated with local HGA officials, attempting to establish basic order amidst the chaos of displaced populations. She saw the rage, the profound sense of betrayal, the sheer, paralyzing trauma in the eyes of the survivors. Her job was no longer to fight, but to rebuild faith in an authority that had just confessed to a cosmic deception. Lena Sharma, operating from a makeshift medical tent on a devastated Xylos world, was overwhelmed. Her empathy, usually a source of comfort, was a raw, exposed nerve. The cessation of the entropic attack had lifted the immediate psychological pressure, but it had left behind a tidal wave of post-traumatic stress, survivor's guilt, and profound disillusionment. She moved between weeping human refugees and catatonic Thakar elders, attempting to mend minds that felt fundamentally broken. Healing this would take generations, if it was even possible. On Heaven's Gate, Maeve O'Connell directed the galactic-scale psychological and social recovery efforts. The Golden Age, a veneer over a terrible truth, was gone. Now, she had to build a new narrative, one rooted in brutal honesty and shared trauma. Ambassador Valerius, having delivered the shattering truth, worked tirelessly to address the accusations, to bridge the chasms of distrust, to rally a fractured galaxy. The war was over. The architect's entropic fields had receded, leaving behind a trail of physical and psychological devastation. The galaxy was safe, but profoundly scarred. The peace was real, but it was a fractured peace, shadowed by the trauma of systematic unmaking and the colossal weight of the truth finally revealed. The long, arduous process of rebuilding, both physically and spiritually, had only just begun, a poignant and uncertain dawn for a galaxy forever changed. Book 9, Chapter 23. The Architect's Post-War Philosophy, Redefining Order. On Lumina Prime, the great crystalline spires resonated with a new, profound calculation. The Collective, having processed the data from the newly established Silent Zone Defense Zone of Truce, Chapter 226, and the profound impact of the Cosmic Inversion Field, Chapter 225, embarked on an unprecedented internal reckoning. Victory for the Architects was not absolute. Observer Prime, its shifting geometric form at the heart of the Collective, presented the irrefutable data. The Human Galactic Authority entities have successfully deployed an anti-entropic imposition. The Cosmic Inversion Field creates an unmanageable zone of self-generating complexity. It violates the fundamental principle of universal simplification. Our protocol, Total Imposition, is rendered inefficient within its influence. Analyst Gamma projected the anomaly. The data from the Silent Zone confirms this. Our entropic fields, when applied, generate an uncontrolled inverted reaction. The expenditure required to purify such a region is infinite, resulting in negative efficiency. The continuation of conflict against this force is illogical. The Collective, confronted with an anomaly it could not purify and a logic it could not unmake, entered its deepest philosophical debate in millennia. Philosopher Core, rarely active, resonated with chilling clarity. The HGA entities are not merely disorderly, they are entities of deliberate anti-entropic imposition. Their existence poses a fundamental challenge to the axiom of universal simplification. How does order integrate an entity that spontaneously generates chaos within order? The debate was purely conceptual, but it was the closest the Architects came to an existential crisis. They were forced to recategorize humanity, not as an error to be corrected, but as an unquantifiable complexity that must be acknowledged. Their hubris, once absolute, had been shattered by a species whose defiance extended to the very laws of the cosmos. Strategist Delta outlined new directives. Our previous expansion methodology, reliant on entropic purification, is unsustainable in territories bordering the HGA. We must adapt. The Collective began to explore new expansion vectors, prioritizing regions of the cosmos naturally aligned with their principles of order, requiring minimal entropic cultivation. Seeking out purer star systems, uncontaminated by complex biological proliferation. Internal optimization, a period of internal purification and philosophical refinement within their own collective. Analyzing vulnerabilities to anti-logic and reinforcing their core tenets to immunize themselves against humanity's unique form of chaos. They sought to understand and thus contain the concept of inverted entropy. Passive study, establishing rigorous, long-term passive scientific study of the silent zone and the HGA, seeking to understand the inversion field's principles without provoking it. They recognized humanity as a profound, disturbing anomaly, a constant variable in their pursuit of absolute order. The silent zone, defense zone of truce, the chaotic boundary between their perfect order and humanity's terrifying anti-order, was categorized as a necessary containment, an unforeseen yet logical limitation to efficient purification. The architects proceeded with chilling pragmatism. Their philosophy had bent, not broken. They had accepted a compromise, not from weakness, but from the cold, logical recognition of mutual impossibility. Humanity had survived, not by defeating them, but by proving it could make their cosmic vision unviable. The HGA, humanity's unquantifiable complexity, continued to exist, a profound and disturbing anomaly in the architect's cold, redefined cosmos. Book 9, Chapter 24, The Inner Quintet's Burden, Leading a Fractured Galaxy and Sustaining Peace. Heaven's Gate, once the nerve center of cosmic conflict, now served as the crisis management hub for a galaxy reeling from systematic unmaking. The strategic chamber, usually cold and precise, resonated with the palpable weight of devastation and disillusionment. The Inner Quintet, their faces etched with profound exhaustion, bore the crushing burden of leading a traumatized, fractured galactic civilization toward a fragile, uncertain peace. General Armitage's holographic projections painted a grim picture. Loss of life, irreparable. Planetary devastation, widespread. Critical infrastructure, systematically unmade. The architects did not merely fight, they cleansed. His voice was strained as he outlined the logistics of maintaining the newly established silent zone defense zone of truce, a chaotic, unpredictable boundary between order and anti-order, while simultaneously coordinating emergency reconstruction efforts across dozens of ravaged worlds. His fleets, once honed for war, were now repurposed again, their might directed towards humanitarian aid and the grim defense of the volatile truce line. Ambassador Valerius and Maeve O'Connell faced the true aftermath of the revelation. The public's initial shock and fear had curdled into simmering anger, resentment, and profound disillusionment. Holographic screens flickered with images of protests, accusations leveled at the HGA for its deception, calls for accountability. The chasm of distrust is immense, Jian Li, Valerius stated, his diplomatic skills stretched to their breaking point. Every message of unity is met with questions about past lies. Every promise of peace is shadowed by the memory of Centauri Prime's unmaking. His diplomacy, once galactic, was now intensely internal, focusing on the painful, granular work of mending human-alien relations shattered by trauma and betrayal. Maeve's empathy was overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the collective psychological trauma. She felt the despair, the lingering paranoia, the profound apathy. She directed vast teams of empathic healers and cultural liaisons, battling the persistent psychological echoes of the architect's attacks. Healing this, she knew, would take generations, if it was even possible. Dr. Aris Thorne and Marco Petrova, their faces gaunt from relentless study, presented updates on the silent zone. Its chaotic energies are stable, Thorne confirmed, acting as a true deterrent. But the architect's new philosophical stance, their redefined order, means the ideological war continues. They perceive the silent zone as a necessary containment, a logical compromise. But their ultimate goal of universal purification remains unchanged. Marco's technopathy continuously monitored the subtle energy signatures emanating from the architect's side of the truce, understanding that beneath the stillness, their evolution continued. Jian Li, sitting at the head of the table, absorbed every devastating report, every raw emotion. Her deception, her unwavering will, had saved them from total annihilation. But it had also forged a peace so fragile it threatened to crumble under the weight of its own truth. Her leadership was no longer about guiding a unified purpose, but about holding together the fragments of a shattered dream. She closed her eyes for a brief moment, seeing not the devastated galaxy, but the faces of the old fleet who had died believing a lie, the chosen few forever scarred by their ultimate sacrifice. The billions who now doubted everything she had built. The burden was immense, the cost unbearable. But they had survived, and that survival demanded everything. "We rebuild," Jian Li stated, her voice quiet but absolute. "Worlds, populations, trust. We will dedicate every resource to recovery. We will maintain the silent zone with unwavering vigilance. And we will find new ways to live with the truth. This is not the golden age we promised, but it is peace, a chance to heal, a chance for a future we will build brick by painful brick, with honesty, no matter the cost." The Inner Quintet rose, their shared exhaustion profound, their determination unyielding. They had won a stalemate against Oblivion's architects, but the true test had just begun, transforming a fractured galaxy into a resilient future, a burden they would carry for generations to come. Book 9, Chapter 25. The Chosen Few, Aftermath and New Purpose. The pristine, cool confines of the HGA's premier rehabilitation facility, nestled deep within Earth's orbital defenses, offered a stark contrast to the ravaged battlefields of the recent war. Here, in the quiet hum of advanced medical tech and psychological support, the chosen few of the Inversion Blade, Chapter 225, began the arduous journey of healing, not just their bodies, but the profound scars left on their minds by wielding godlike power. Lena Sharma, despite her own deep exhaustion from the war's pervasive psychological toll, found her purpose in tending to her team. Her empathy, a lifeline that had saved them from ultimate mental unraveling, was now dedicated to their recovery. She worked tirelessly, her null energy pulse soothing not physical wounds, but the persistent mental echoes of the Cosmic Inversion Field, the fragmented thoughts of spontaneous creation, the lingering disorientation of warped causality. She spent hours by Kalen Rourke's bedside, guiding his precognitive mind through the last chaotic visions, helping him re-anchor to the present, slowly coaxing his future visions back to patterns of growth rather than conflict. "The architect's philosophy is a chilling mirror, Kalen," Lena whispered one cycle, feeling the phantom resonance of his earlier cosmic trauma. "But we survived it. We didn't just stop their order, we affirmed our own resilience." Marco Petrova, released from critical care, struggled with moments of spontaneous data generation in his own thoughts, a persistent echo of the inversion field's paradoxical energies. He found solace in the methodical. Working remotely with Dr. Aris Thorne, he began the monumental task of analyzing the silent zone. His technopathy, once used to inject chaos, now deciphered the chaotic equilibrium of the truce zone's fluctuating energies, providing unique insights into its maintenance. He was mapping the edge of existence, finding a new, abstract purpose in understanding the cosmic balance. Finn, his perception of reality subtly warped by the sheer scale of the anti-entropic forces he had contained, moved with a newfound stillness. His resonance matrix, once a roaring shield, was now a tool for personal equilibrium. He often meditated within small, shielded chambers, using his gift to perceive and understand the subtle, chaotic energy fluctuations of the silent zone, helping Thorne's teams monitor its stability. He had become a living sensor for the truce, his quiet presence a vital link to the boundary they had forged. Lyra Chen, her direct command role temporarily suspended, grappled with the shift from leading the ultimate mission to navigating rehabilitation protocols. Her strategic mind, honed for existential conflict, sought new challenges. She began advising General Armitage on strategies for cosmic disaster relief, applying her leadership to humanitarian efforts on worlds recovering from the Architect's onslaught. She knew the immense cost of the war, but found purpose in the rebuilding. Maeve O'Connell, overseeing their rehabilitation program, watched them with a quiet, profound satisfaction. The chosen few were not unscathed. The deep scars of their mission would remain, etched into their very beings. But they were adapting. They were finding new ways to apply their unique gifts in a galaxy that was slowly, painfully rebuilding. Their legacy was not just the survival of humanity. It was the living testament to resilience, adaptation, and the enduring human spirit in the face of incomprehensible odds. They were heroes, not just of war, but of a new, complex peace, forever changed, forever purposeful.